Hello everyone, and now welcome to game number 1 in a series between 120 and Th000. We see 120 spawning as the blue undead over here on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, over here on the bottom left we have Th000 spawning as the red human. Human versus undead in this 1v1 replay, and once again thanks WCraft or the WarCraft 3 Reddit for posting up some of these games as well. Trying to find more and more replays, a little bit more diverse than from the Moo Cup, as even that is getting a bit stale. Now, hopefully I'll still be able to continue to find replays for you guys at least 3 times a week to go ahead and share for you, as we are going to be looking at this human versus undead matchup. Now, some players or some people were commenting, can I get rid of this bar up top? Unfortunately, that is part of the NetEase client, and short of trying to crop and trying to do a little bit more editing towards the end, it does end up taking a little bit more time, and well, I'm probably earning about $1 an hour or $2 an hour trying to make these videos as it is, so I'm sorry. Well, it is going to be a little bit difficult. Now, what are we going to expect in this human versus undead matchup? That is going to be the critical question. Death Knight will be roaming around. We can see the Tomb of Relics already being placed down as we are going into ghouls. Oh, another question that was asked was, is there a way I can get this to be the localized English version so I can actually see the items and all of those things? I know there is a method in doing so. I believe the formatting and all of the language information is actually based in Korean, actually. So I will say my Korean is worse than my Chinese significantly. And as in, I don't know any, and I won't be able to do that all that easily. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at a militia creep clear with a water elemental over here by the goblin merchant shop. That level 4 or level 5 Sasquatch will get taken down, and as it gets taken down, a second water elemental has been dropped. Wand of Illusion has been picked up. Very, very useful item there as the militia finishes off the remainder of this creep camp. 3 level 2 creeps. I'm not 100% sure if it will give level 2. It looks as though it will, as it does give level 2 right there. Footmen now going to try and engage against some of these skeletal minions off over here. A little bit of extra free experience now for Th000 as a Death Coil takes down a water elemental. Now, always a little bit of an issue there whenever you can give free experience to the Archmage. Archmage wants that extra bit of experience. Level 2 water elementals so much more powerful than level 1, as there is a substantial difference in between level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 2, you're able to get that secondary ability, whether it be Unholy Aura or Brilliant Aura, both of them giving very, very strong abilities to either have more mana or move around that much more quickly. Movement speed is important in combat as well. It doesn't matter how strong you are. If you're not in the right place at the right time, you're really not doing any damage. Gonna go ahead and back off here as the footmen are gonna now try and clear out this relatively, is it a 5-3? No, it is the rock golem creep camp. That will be relatively difficult to clear out here. As you can see, well, a bit of units now coming across here. Footman now gonna go ahead and engage. Death Knight gonna come in from behind, as the Death Knight going to just be pushing damage onto that Archmage. Archmage is going to be in a little bit of trouble there. You can see that the Death Knight did get to level 2. Is it going to be able to get another water elemental? That is a big question there. Is the Archmage going to get the experience? Yes, he will. Gets the Wand of Mana Stealing as well, and could actually steal a bit of mana. Oh, wow. Beautiful use of Cloak of Shadows right there, as the Death Knight now able to wander back around. Are we going to see that Wand of Mana Stealing be used? Death Coil finishes off the last Forest Troll Trapper, as the Crypt Fiend now, well, will be forced to back off here. Death Knight way too low on hit points. Footman now able to push back that Crypt Fiend as a lone footman trying to get some extra damage onto that unit. That is actually going to be a little bit interesting there, as a second Crypt Fiend now joins in on the fight. Water Elementals still at level 2 right here, right now, as the Forest Troll Trapper will get taken down. Wand of Illusion now being used to clear out, or at least attempt to figure out where the Death Knight went. Death Knight is back at home, sitting on Blight, regenerating hit points. Meanwhile, the Crypt Fiends are now perhaps looking to put down a bit of pressure on this expansion from Th000. Back off to the north here, Archmage is at level 3, still has plenty of mana, will have 250 mana in just a moment. Meanwhile, those Crypt Fiends trying to get some damage onto this one particular peasant, purposely engaging or just trying to wander around here. It may actually attack or try to start harvesting lumber and then go back inside that gold mine. You do end up losing a little bit of gold permanently, as we now see the remainder of the creeps getting cleared out by some skeletal minions and Crypt Fiends back at home. Death Knight at about 300, some mid 300 hit points, still regenerating those hit points. Archmage is still back across over here, now going after, picking up a Goblin Shredder, and that is going to be a nice pickup there. A little bit of extra damage, but also more importantly able to harvest significantly more lumber, as a lot of the peasants were now transferred over here. Okay, Arcane Tower. Oh, there's the cancellation on the tower. There it goes. Meanwhile, new towers now being added in here. Are we going to perhaps see a Wand of Mana Stealing be used against the Death Knight? Death Knight would then be low on mana. Yes, did end up using it. The Death Knight now down to 13 mana will not be able to easily heal up any units, as we now see once again Scout Towers being added in. For some reason, that Arcane Tower was not upgraded a bit earlier, instead a little bit later there, as we now see the Crypt Fiends now coming into for a fight. Death Knight still sitting at level 2, not yet at level 3. The Footmen ready to charge on in here, as we do see them throw up those shields. Frost Nova quickly spells some problems there. One Footman will get taken down. There it goes. Meanwhile, more damage being added, as a second Frost Nova should be coming in momentarily. Are we going to go after the Lich? Lich is now in a little bit of trouble. Is he going to get boxed around? Footman now low on hit points, going to try and get the Fen. Instead, ends up falling as the Death Knight gets to level 3. Level 2 Death Coil most likely incoming on that Crypt Fiend. No, going to be incoming on that Lich. Lich is going to have some serious problems. Going to stay alive for just a little bit longer. Scroll of Town Portal could be transferred over. As you can see, the Lich is now down to 67 hit points, down to 50, as the Obsidian Statue is going to get in some lots of heals. That is going to be important there. That Obsidian Statue keeping that unit alive just long enough, as the Footman now tries to survive, defending and deflecting back so many Crypt Fiend attacks. Footmen continuing to fight back here. Let's take a look. Where are they going to be going? Heading back off to the north here, trying to focus down some of these units. Poor Footman now attempting to head back home. Will it make it back home? Does he defend it? No, he does not, as we could see some Crypt Fiends getting taken down there. There goes one. Wand of Mana Stealing. No more for a Death Coil, as that now the Archmage, wow, survives with 8 hit points, and a Footman gets taken out. Beautiful counter by 120, keeping track of all of the units, knowing where exactly everything was. All of these towers were not upgraded. A horrible waste of time, as all of these towers could get taken out. A little bit of tunnel vision by Th000 may be his undoing, as these scout towers were completed quite some time ago. The Crypt Fiends now looking to come inside here and put a stop to this, as the Footmen are now looking to engage. All right, there goes one tower. Another tower could get taken out here. It looks as though the Crypt Fiends are now looking to back off. Water Elementals looking to join in on the fight. Lich could easily get off a Frost Nova here in just a moment, as the Water Elemental was trying to get every bit of damage back onto that Crypt Fiend. All right, Archmage. Clarity Potion, a little bit of healing, Scroll of Regeneration being used as well. More repairs are going to be needed. Are we going to see a repair there? No, we are not. Just pure destruction once more, but the remainder of the guard towers are now ready to go. Footman now taking a little bit more damage again. Archmage needs to get into the fight. Takes a Death Coil, a little bit of damage. Not Zeppelin Microed, 120. Doing a lot of good damage here, though not minimizing the effectiveness of 120 at all. And what we may end up seeing happen is that 120 is going to start to build an experience lead. You can see a lot of damage is being done across the board here. Crypt Fiend taking a lot of damage. Is it going to back off? Yes, it will. There is the Death Coil. But what you're going to see is 120 going to get more and more kills onto these footmen, and by taking down those footmen, well, good things will start to happen. A bigger experience lead, definitely. Death Knight needs to get off a death coil onto more of these units here in just a second. Obsidian Statue taking far too much damage. There's the death coil just in time. Triple water elementals all the way as a Crypt Fiend does get taken down there. All right, a little bit of bad micro once more. Crypt Fiend's now looking to back off again. Water elementals attempting to take down these obsidian statues. And how does the Archmage have that much time in order to continually throw down and keep down 3 water elementals? That is something I don't understand. Very, very difficult to maintain as the Archmage now paired alongside a Paladin. All right, quick devour magic right there. Let's take a look at this. This obsidian statue is going to try and get healed back up. Acolyte being joined in on the fight, and it is going to be bringing in some repairs as the Destroyer now taking a bit of damage again. All right, continuing this fight here. 1 scout tower quickly taken out. The Acolytes need to be on pretty much auto repair, keeping all of these units alive. Obsidian statues in the background here. That obsidian statue cannot really venture forth all that much. As you can see, there are a good number of towers. All right, let's take a look at this once more, continuing to keep this all alive and well. The Destroyer is able to quickly focus down these towers as tower after tower, and more importantly, perhaps, resource after resource and experience after experience is constantly being given to the Undead army. Level 2 on that Lich right now. Death Knight gonna venture forth, try to finish things off here as the Obsidian statues and the Acolytes are just constantly repairing. Death Knight may need to come in with a death coil onto that Lich in just a moment as all the towers on the right have now been taken out. All right, Destroyer extremely low on hit points, needs to get healed back up. It should be able to do exactly that. Meanwhile, yeah, 2 low hit point Destroyers in the back. The Crypt Fiends using that range. Death Knight gonna venture forth again as the Archmage is taking far too much damage. All right, there goes another Frost Nova there. Is that level? I thought I saw a leveling, but I don't quite sure. No, there was no leveling at all, as we still see more and more engagements coming through. All right, are the Destroyers going to be able to finish off more of these units here? Another guard tower could get done in just a second. Oh, the Holy Light. It was a Holy Light, not an actual level up at all, as the Crypt Fiends, with their very long range, able to poke down a tower. All right, you can see these peasants right now just constantly repairing. Another Frost Nova goes down, and the damage is starting to add up more and more. Holy Light coming through. Another skeletal minion getting taken out here, but 120 is doing a great job still. All right, Archmage is still in that backfield. Is it going to be able to stay alive? So far, able to. Level 4 really making the big difference here, maintaining the mana on that Archmage. All right, another round of Destroyers have been trained up, and with that many Destroyers, that is going to be a lot, but in comes a squadron of flying machines. That's going to be a big deal there. What is going to be ending up happening? All right, flying machine could get taken down. Holy Light down a Crypt Fiend, and here the economic advantage and the sudden appearance of flying machines making a big difference. Not enough Crypt Fiends to really get them all down here, as the flying machines are getting taken out one by one. Another Crypt Fiend could get taken down, Holy Lighted and Death Coiled pretty much simultaneously, as the Crypt Fiend able to survive and live to fight another day. More and more flying machines getting destroyed. There's a Holy Light Stormbolt 1-2 punch. Very, very difficult to shake that off, as the flying machines are all getting picked apart. Death Knight's now sitting at level 4. Lich 4 experience away from sitting at level 3. Are we going to perhaps see a Death Knight or a Death Coil onto some sort of peasant, at least to gain that last bit of experience? Level 3 Frost Nova, extremely powerful. Let's take a look at this. We need to see a Death Coil onto that low hit point unit there. There's the flying machine. Gonna go ahead and get taken down. Level 3 now on the Lich. Are we gonna see more units getting taken out? There's another Death Coil. It's gonna live the fight at least a little while longer, but not that much. All right, Lich is still continuing the fight here. Death Knight leading the charge. You can see more damage being added here, as the Death Knight could try and, well, it needs to stand back a bit and regain some mana to get some Death Coils off onto those low hit point Destroyers. Death Knight down to 57, 58 mana. Still unable to do very much. More peasants getting taken out here. We are at the 14-minute 30-second mark of this match, as Th000 is absolutely getting pummeled right now by 120. But Th000 does have the economic advantage, but that may just translate into an experience advantage if 120 is able to keep this pressure up a little while longer. Mountain King right here, flying machines coming across. Stormbolt onto a Crypt Fiend. Crypt Fiend is going to be taking a lot of damage right there. I believe there is some web right now. Lich does have that Orb of Corruption. Flying Machine still leading the charge here, as the Dark Ranger unable to get off any real silences. Flying Machine still going after the destroyers. The lone one destroyer right now, as it is going to try to head back off to the north. Flying Machine finally deciding to back off, as the Crypt Fiend army still causing a bit of problems. All right, and that was the issue. If you build too much of the counter unit for the destroyers, those flying machines end up not being good at anything else. They are much of a silver bullet at dealing with one or two specific units, but you cannot overly mass them. You can now take a look at this. There is going to be abominations by 120, and that slight change in the overall tech is the only real difference here. More peasants could get taken out. Abomination now joining in on the fight. There's a silence. Death Coil is going to go in, onto that Crypt Fiend. Keeps him alive a little while longer, as we are still continuing this fight now. All right, Holy Light keeping the Mountain King alive. Death Knight down to 415 hit points. It looks like he will finish off the Mountain King, but the Death Knight now in a little bit of trouble, as Knights now joining in on the fight. Mountain King fallen at level 1. Knights now joining in, and that is going to be the big issue. The Death Knight, oh, beautiful Death Coil dodge there by the Staff of Sanctuary. The Death Knight unable to finish this Knight, as that Knight lives to fight another day. Abomination now in that front line, absorbing a bit of damage. That's exactly what he should be doing. He has hit points to spare, essentially, but the Crypt Fiend's actually taking the damage. Might be the better call here, just because, well, there's better armor on that Crypt Fiend for the type of damage that is being dealt. All right, Abomination gonna go ahead and finish off some more units here. It looks as though, nope, it is not going to be the case. Units are now heading back off to the north. It looks as though Th000 says, you know what, no more defending my base. I'm going to be on the move and try put pressure on your base. There is still no bomb upgrade, so no way to attack the ground on those units, as we're now going into siege engines.
Players' forces are under attack.
All right, Peasant's going to get picked apart here. There goes a one. Another peasant could get taken out here. It looks like it's going to turn into a little bit of a base trade. Flying machines coming across. Water Elemental siege engines are now back across here, attempting to finish off these towers, and then perhaps take down the haunted gold mine. One flying machine down. Another flying machine will get taken down as well. And, the large number of Crypt Fiends means that those siege engines are going to be extremely powerful in these fights. No repairs going on to the Tomb of Relics. 66 over 60, upside down on supply, as siege engines number 1 and 2 will end up getting destroyed. Economic advantage now being reestablished by Th000, as more siege engines could be regrouping here. They're just attempting to just cause a lot of havoc and chaos inside the base, as the Archmage is sitting at 4, Mountain King at 2, and Paladin at 2 as well. Undead army ready to regroup. 62 over 72 supply compared to 66 over 60. Upside down on supply, but you also see, oh wow, Death Coil onto that flying, or onto that destroyer there, as the siege engines now try to get away, unable to, well, run over a spider. Those Crypt Fiends a bit too big, a tank unable to roll a spider over, even though in your mind it should naturally be able to crush it. Anyways, let's see where these units will be going next. Paladin now with Vampiric Aura, the Dreadlord Aura that is very rarely ever seen, as we now see a Death Coil silence here. Is the Paladin going to be able to make it away? Beautiful Staff of Sanctuary at the last possible moment, and it will live to fight another day. Meanwhile, back off to the north here, Destroyer going after this main Black Citadel. Back down across here, another siege engine going to be trying to get into position. Can you get a surround? Yes, you are. Come on, you have that many units. Just surround it. There it goes. This one siege engine will end up getting destroyed once again,
Player's forces
adding in a bit more experience onto that Death Knight. Do we see a level 2 Dark Ranger? Yes. Do we see a level 4 Lich? Not quite yet, as we are going to be once again putting pressure back on this expansion location, and the peasants are all just going to pick themselves up and get away. Bit of repairing now going in, more damage, double or Frost Nova taking down 2 peasants in just a second as the expansion should get taken out here. No Scroll of Town Portal will be forced to get back home the old-fashioned way. Let's go ahead and walk back home here as the siege engines now have those bombs, able to attack the ground. They are doing large amounts of damage, and will they get the Black Citadel down? This is a big problem here. 120 perhaps wasn't expecting all of these flying machines that actually have usefulness at all, as we now see the Acolytes being forced to pull back here. Siege engine still attempting to take this down. It is being repaired, but the remaining units have now fled. New expansion is being placed down across here. Meanwhile, Archmage is taking this opportunity to get to level 5, level 3 on the Paladin and Mountain King. A 5-3-3 combination after this level 6 Rock Golem does fall. Water Elemental hiding in the corner here. It looks as though it will just get taken out. Time Life, no. Death at the hands of an Abomination, giving a little bit of experience. Level 5 right here. Paladin, level 3. Mountain King, level 3. Stormbolt in position. Are they going to be able to get away? Almost gets a surround there, as we now see an ensnare go down. Paladin now is currently silenced. Mountain King is going to be able to get off a Stormbolt again. There's a silence there as the Death Knight now tries to get away. Water Elemental down to 24 hit points. It gets taken out. Death Knight sitting at level 4 is going to be able to finish off the Water Elemental. Looks like it will be able to do exactly that. Slow movement speed coupled with negative armor equals and equates to a dead Water Elemental, as the Death Knight now gets to level 5 on the nose for that experience, sitting currently at 1400. Siege engines, flying machines trying to finish off, and will finish off that Altar of Darkness there as it continues to roll on through. Will it be able to finish off some more of these Ziggurats again, or perhaps even the Haunted Goldmine? Haunted Goldmine taking a lot of damage here, and even though it may not look like it, it is also preventing too much of that unsummoning. All right, let's take a look. The damage is already up to, well, the hit points down to 430, 375. No real reason to try and repair it, knowing that there's going to be 220 gold just sitting there. No real reason to haunt the gold mine either to try and reestablish it. 120 is in serious trouble as he doesn't have a secondary source of income, or rather a primary source of income at this point, as Th000 sits here comfortably. As long as the game goes a little bit long, Th000 will be able to extend this game and make sure that the current economy favors him over 120. Flying Machine still trying to get away. Looks like they're going to be taking a little bit too much damage as they head back home. Death Knight going to continue to fight back here. There is a Thunderbolt. Oh, silence there. Death Coil staying alive. Mountain King wants to get another Stormbolt off as the Death Knight is absorbing a lot of damage once again. There goes the Mountain King. Sorry, the Mountain King is absorbing a lot of damage. Level 3 now on the Mountain King has fallen, as a Holy Light onto the Paladin keeps him alive at least for a little while longer. Death Knight may be forced to Death Coil that Crypt Fiend there. Crypt Fiend, or the Death Coil, healing 600 hit points. Is it going to be enough? Water Elemental is getting picked apart now. That is a lot of experience just from those Water Elementals, and if you can get a lot of experience, why wouldn't you at this stage? All right, let's take a look. We're going to engage once more. There was a silence. Death Knight is going after the Archmage. Archmage is going to be able to get another shot off here. There's the Death Coil. There it goes. And with it, those chances of being able to take game number 1. Crypt Fiends now heading back off to the north with Frost Armor, knowing that those Knights, even if they can keep up or get a shot off onto that Crypt Fiend's Frost Armor, that +3 armor and also the slowness will prevent the Knights to get a following blow. Dark Ranger comes inside, attempts to finish off a handful of peasants, unable to do exactly that, as the Abomination now looks to finish off this expansion here. All right, it looks like this gold mine was re-haunted. You're going to get 20 more seconds of mining, only to have it be unsummoned a little while later, as we are now looking at a 43 over 72 compared to 54 over 60. A 10 supply difference. Paladin now looking to finish off the level 5 Brigands, I believe. And are we getting a resurrection on an Archmage? That is the follow-up. Yes, it is. Archmage and a Mountain King. Gold, 168. That is it. We are now sitting at 48 over 60 with the Archmage being that last 5 bit of supply. Webbing down a couple of targets, taking that down. Death Knight sitting at level 5. Will it get level 3 Unholy Aura? I don't believe Undead Army is used all that often. The Undead Death Knight's primary heroic ability, not that great, as we're now going to be going after these units bottom to the south. All right, there goes another another flying machine. Obsidian statues now being added in here. Paladin quickly uses the Divine Shield as a knight ventures forth, then tries to double back away. Does not look good. And wow, one more shot should do it. Wow, and no. The Holy Light was in time. It survives at 390 hit points. All right, let's take a look back across here. There's one scout tower. That is it. A new haunted gold mine coming in. And 120, if he can start mining from that gold mine, will have the definitive advantage. Meanwhile, 46 over 60 for Th000 right now, but he is trying to clear out additional creeps at the very least to continue his, albeit slow, source of income. Every point of gold matters right now as you try and get into this tight resource race with your opponent. So far, all we've really seen is that this gold mine here has mined over 7,000 gold. Yeah, that is over 10 minutes of mining, and still, with that 10 minutes of additional mining, the gold discrepancy is actually, and the overall army is in favor of 120. There goes a slam right there. Units are now looking to back off. There, no boulders at all, as you see a Frost Nova go down onto a Knight. That is completely slowing things down a bit as the Death Knight now runs back around the corners again. All right, down to 42 hit points before the Holy Light there, as we now see flying machines off in the ready. All right, the counter army, those militia really making a big difference. Lich down to 700 hit points after the death coil, a 600 hit point heal. Is it going to be able to finish off a unit? Yes, it will, as it could go after another Knight again. All right, there's Frost Armor again. Death Knight, will it be able to launch another death coil? That is the question, continuing this fight again. Abomination gets taken down. Crypt Fiends now getting microed every which way, as the Mountain King may be able to get off a Stormbolt here. All right, more damage. Dark Ritual coming across. Lich has enough mana. There goes the Paladin. Death Knight is now seriously in trouble. Is it going to be able to finish things off? Death Knight now trying to escape. Looks like it will not be able to. Skeletal minions get in its way. It gets taken down. Level 5 Death Knight now gone. And with that, what is going to happen? Level 4 Lich, almost level 5, as the Dark Ranger is still at level 4 here. So continuing this fight now, let's take a look at this. This one low hit point Knight trying to get away. Looks like it will be able to do exactly that. No additional healing whatsoever, as the Knights are able to catch up. No Frost Armor at all on those Crypt Fiends either, as the Lich is in serious trouble. Trying to get every bit of damage out. Once again, Dark Ranger, are we just going to see this one Crypt Fiend getting taken out? Yes, we are, once again, as the Knight able to escape. Death Knight comes back in, resurrected at the tavern, as we now see the units back off to the north here. All right, the additional income giving a little bit of an advantage, but 120 ends up taking the game, even though he mined 9,000 more in resources than his opponent. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game number 1.